Alright guys, so with this channel mainly focusing on audio products and usually mainly focusing on true wireless earbuds, I've kind of found myself really enjoying using open ear devices. And I think that's mainly because I'm getting out a little bit more. I'm coaching a team, so I'm having to travel and do things where I'm around a lot of people, and I need to be a little bit more aware of my surroundings. So it kind of got me thinking, what's the best open ear device out there? And I've tested things like the Bose sunglasses, the Sony neckband speakers, the brand new Sony Link Buds that just came out, and several different bone conduction headphones. And I found that the bone conduction headphones seem to be the most practical because you can't wear sunglasses everywhere. And the neckband, although I've kind of found that I've gravitated towards liking those the most because of their sound, that definitely isn't practical if you're gonna be out at the gym or running or just anywhere where you don't want that neckband to move. So I wanted to see which bone conduction headphones had the best audio quality, and I decided to start with Shokz OpenRun Pros. And the reason for this is Shokz, which is formerly known as Aftershokz, they're pretty much one of the first companies to come out with bone conduction headphones. They're already on their like 9th generation of these devices, and the OpenRun Pro is supposed to be their premier device because it is definitely not cheap, coming in at 179 bucks. But price-wise, that matches up with the Sony Link Buds that just came out, which I wasn't a huge fan of. So I'm wondering if this is just a much better buy coming in at the same price. And so speaking of the price, Shokz is actually running some kind of spring sale between March 14th and March 20th, where they have certain devices on their site that you can get for 15% off. And I actually reached out to them and they sent me a link for you guys to use where you can get 15% off of anything on their site. So it doesn't have to just be, certain devices. And it's nice that they wanted to be able to do that. And don't worry, I don't make any kind of extra money from you guys using the link. It's just something that Shokz wanted to do for my viewers. So now let's just go ahead and check out the OpenRun Pros. Now it does come in two different colors. There is a black model, which was the original one, but they did just release these in blue. And if you can't tell just by the shirt and the background and everything else, I'm a huge fan of the color blue. So I went with the blue device. I think it has a really nice look to it. And right off the bat, I can tell that Shokz has come a long way from where they started with the original ones. I felt like the original Aftershokz that I tested had that real squared off design. It was real stiff and you can tell like the band on the back stuck out quite a ways. With the new ones, it doesn't stick out as far in the back. It's much more softer, it's a lot more flexible, and it's one of those type of devices that you just kind of forget that you're wearing. So that kind of ties in to what this device is for, because you're gonna use them in situations where you could have them on at work all day, or you can have them on while you're running, which you may be running for a while, or riding a bike, or even if you're on a job site like a construction site and you're outdoors. It's really nice to not feel that that device is right there around your ears. So they did a really good job with the design. They did a really good job with making these much more comfortable. And another thing that I was a huge fan of, this is the first bone conduction headphones that I've tested that actually works with an app. And although the app's not gonna blow you away with features, it's nice that Shokz can keep these updated by using the app. It also gives you multi-point pairing, so you can be connected to more than one device, so it's easy to switch from one device to the other. And then it also has two different EQ modes. And I really found this useful because it just has a normal mode if you're just going to listen to music or whatever, but it has a vocal mode. So if you're listening to podcasts or if you just happen to be watching a show and you want to be focused a little bit more on dialogue, this just kind of isolates a lot of the bass and a lot of the warmth of the sound and just strictly focuses on someone talking. And again, if you're somebody that just listens to podcasts, this is definitely a nice feature. Now, some other things about the OpenRun Pros is it is using Shoksz's new turbo pitch technology, which is basically a different EQ tuning on the device itself. They are focusing a little bit more on audio quality, which is a huge plus. And this pair also has dual bass enhancers. And I found the bass experience on these definitely different than the ones in the past, because I feel like the ones in the past kind of relied a lot on the haptic vibration. They're wanting to just give you that sense of bass and not really being able to hear bass. And I can definitely tell a huge difference with these, but we'll talk about that once we get to the audio. And another thing is this pair is using Bluetooth 5.1, and I noticed with that I didn't have any kind of connection issues, and I also noticed that I didn't have any lag when it came to movies, videos, or games. So just like I said before, if you're wanting to use these to just watch movies or watch TV shows, this is a great device for just all different types of media. Now, obviously, with this type of design, you're going to be looking at using these at the gym or outdoors or at the beach and things like that. And this pair comes in with an IP55 rating. So it is definitely disappointing that this is not completely waterproof, but an IP55 rating means on top of getting water resistance, you're also getting dust resistance as well. So if you are somebody that works on a construction site where dust is obviously just kind of floating around, or if you're at the beach, it's just kind of peace of mind to know that, you know, dirt and dust and things like that aren't going to ruin your device. So it's nice that it has that protection. But again, with this type of device, I would have liked to have seen it be completely waterproof. Now, as far as what all they give you inside the box, another thing that I noticed about this pair, and this might just be you're getting what you're paying for, is you don't get that little silicone rubbery type case that they used to. I don't even want to call it a case. I think it was more or less just a pouch. They have decided to now upgrade to a hard-shelled zipper case. You can see that the molding inside of the case allows the OpenRun Pros to just sit in there perfectly. They're not going to be moving around or flopping around. So they definitely did a much better job with the case here. And then as far as the charging cable, it has its own proprietary magnetic cable. So just plug it into any type of wall charger that you have, and then it just magnetically connects to the OpenRun Pros and it will start charging. And speaking of the charging, battery life is very impressive on this pair. On a single charge, they can go up to 10 hours, which I feel like is really good battery life on a device like this. And also, if you happen to pick them up and they are dead, like if you're just walking out the door about to go to the gym, it is nice that this pair also has a fast charge feature where a 5-minute charge will get you an hour and a half worth of use. And I always like this feature because I am definitely one of those people that forgets to always keep my earbuds or headphones or whatever charged. So a fast charge feature can definitely come in handy. Now, as far as the controls on the OpenRun Pros, it's very simple. You only have 3 buttons here. On the left side is your single multifunction button, which is located on the outside. And this is what allows you to play and pause your music. It's also what allows you to skip your tracks forward and go backwards. And then on the right side, you have 2 volume buttons located underneath. And so again, it's just nice that it keeps it separated. It's also nice that it's just very simple, and I like the fact that they give you control over everything. Now, if you are also looking for a device to use at work, and there's some people that just strictly use devices like this to take phone calls, this is another area where I feel like they definitely improved because they're now using dual noise canceling microphones, and I feel like they did a very good job of picking up my voice. I do feel like it obviously sounds a little digital, but for the most part, I think this is a device that a lot of people will be happy to use for phone calls. But you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here.
So here is a mic test using the OpenRun Pros. Again, I'm very impressed with the mics that they have on here. I think it picks up my voice extremely well, but this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call. And so now here is a mic test with a crowd noise being played, which you can hear here. And so this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call in public.
So now let's talk about the sound, because this is one of the first times I don't feel like it's as huge of a sacrifice, especially when it comes to audio quality, going from a pair of earbuds to a device like this. I finally feel like the bass isn't as artificial, again, where it's not, just relying on vibration. It actually feels like you can hear bass. It's kind of hard to explain if you've never tried bone conduction headphones, but before they're really just relying on this vibration. And again, it just kind of sounded gimmicky at times. So it feels a little more refined with this pair. And another thing that I noticed is this is one of the cleanest sounding bone conduction headphones that I've tested, but it still had a fullness in the audio. So it didn't sound like a cheap tinny speaker that you were listening to in a corner. it actually kind of felt like it wrapped around you a little bit more, and it had some body to it. It just didn't sound flat and lifeless. I think they did an excellent job with mids because vocalists and certain acoustic instruments and things like that always sounded up front, but it still retained a lot of characteristics that I've noticed a lot of other open ear devices just kind of lose once you start using. And the treble on these, I was also very surprised, still retained warmth because of that bass. So this isn't a bright or shrill sounding device. Everything does have a slight warmthness to it, which again, in my opinion, just kind of gave it a more fuller sound than a lot of these other devices. So at $179, although it's not cheap, if you're already looking at Sony's new Link Buds, and you're kind of on the fence if you want to get those, the OpenRun Pros, in my opinion, have better audio quality, they have better battery life, and in my opinion, they're just much more practical. They're just easy to kind of wear in different places and things like that, and then you just don't have to worry about them falling out, and they're not necessarily sitting in your ear, so you can hear a little bit more of your surroundings. So guys, that wraps up my video on the Shokz OpenRun Pros. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.